Welcome back to this ministry in the wilderness. This is the last Sunday of the church year, and in services throughout the Episcopal and Roman traditions, they are celebrating the feast of Christ the King. Here in the wild, we've been preaching now in this ministry for a year, and as we complete our journey through the Gospel of Luke, we prepare for the Gospel of Matthew next. Next week, we begin Advent, the beginning of a new church year. I will not be singing a hymn or reading from the gospel this week. Instead, I will be putting forth the purpose and hope for this ministry in the wilderness, hence no collar. I use this channel to proclaim the good news as I experience it in the Gospels. This, like so much we do, though, is filtered through our own understanding and experience with the divine, with a faith community, that which we grew out of, with the world at large. If you seek a community of faith, I encourage you to join with others in a fellowship of your choice. Your religion or beliefs are not as important, in my mind, as your longing for what many of us call God. You may not understand God in the same way as me or others. You may not even call the divine God. Again, that is okay here. I, though, find God, find purpose through Christ and the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. The stories of his life and the teachings that are laid out in the four Gospels, found in the first four books, what is commonly known as the New Testament, are the basis of this. These are stories, not written verbatim accounts of Jesus' life, and each was written within a spiritual framework of its own. Each contains spiritual truths laid down in a cultural framework of a time and of the time when they were written. Much of the understandings about the nature of reality have changed for all of us since that time, and for all of us in the last 100 years or sooner. So I attempt to glean the truth from these stories and relate them to you in the wilderness, the community outside the community. The Gospels, I believe, point to God. They should not be considered literally. To overtly venerate them is to make an idol of them and miss what they point to. For much of my life, I have wondered, what is the meaning of life? What is our purpose here? I don't believe I'm alone in that. And I believe I've come to an answer to that wondering of sorts. The meaning of life is life itself in all its glories. For all of life is divine, and thus all of life is a manifestation of that divinity, God. Our reality is geared towards life. It's primed for life. Life is everywhere. And that there is life is itself a miracle. Our purpose, and what you will hear in most of my homilies here, to one extent or another, is love. To assist in love, continuing to be made manifest with and through us. To be the heart, hands, eyes, ears, and voice of love in the world. I also find that the teachings of Jesus show us a way to do that. Realize we are not the center of our universes or the greater universe, and that by sharing love, we make existence blossom and grow. By forgiving and showing mercy to the inevitable pain and suffering that happens in existence, we foster healing and others coming to know that place where love abides. And as Michael Curry, the Archbishop of the Episcopal Church, says often, if it's not about love, it's not about God. Jesus showed and taught unconditional love, lived his ministry, public life, and death by that principle, and in doing so, lived a divine existence, a God-centered existence. Another thing you'll find is my understanding that the kingdom of God, as we may call it, has nothing to do with kings or royalty, nothing to do with hierarchy, but it is that place where God dwells. As such, the kingdom of God, or heaven, if you will, is here and now. Not some other place we need to get to. Not some special gated community for elites or the selected you enter upon your death. If you are waiting to see God until you die, you'll miss a living relationship that you can have with God now, when you need it the most. And how do you enter into that relationship with God? Well, I just said it. By and through love. And for me, Jesus is that way. His way is that way. Now, do I measure up? On my good days, barely. Do I get confused and wander here in the wilderness? Certainly. If, though, I turn back to the light of love, when I find myself in the dark, in those dark parts of the wilderness, I will find Christ ready to welcome me home. If I ask for help from the angels, which are you all, the angels who surround me, you might even point me in the right direction to get back on the way. If I don't seek God, if I don't seek love, how will I ever find it? Though it may be right at my feet. If I don't knock on heaven's door, why would I expect it to open? Knowing the truth and practicing it are two different things, though. And luckily, my God is forgiving, not vengeful or judging. My God is more than I can imagine or even begin to understand. But to see Christ in all, which is what Jesus taught, to see Christ in all is to see God in all. Not something I can do often, even when I try. But none of us is alone in this. And that is a truth. We are not born alone. No one is. No one is born alone. We do not exist alone. Even in a solitary existence, we are not alone. Life is all around us, all the time, seen and unseen. And faith comes when you touch that truth consciously. Just touching it, knowing that I am not alone ever, gives me faith that I can carry on. And it's that truth that will set us free to the work of this miraculousness. And then we perhaps can see it in the birds of the air or the fish in the sea. We can see it in the wind that blows through the trees, or the touch of a loved one, if we're open to it. It is the reason, Dad love, it is the reason. For God so loved that there is life. Come to know it. Come on to share it. Give it away. This is the message that I will share on this channel. This is my voice in the wilderness. I find it in the Gospels. I find it in you. And on special days, you all help me find it in my own heart as well. So God bless you. As always, if you found this homily to be beneficial, or you like where I'm going to be going with all of this, make sure to like and subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button below. I pray that this endeavor will be meaningful to you and that you will share your journey with others. We may exist in the wilderness, but we are not alone here, rest assured. Leave a comment if you want, and come on back to this channel in the wilderness. I remain yours in faith. Until next time, blessings to you all.